joining us right now to go all out on this story is James Michael Lafferty, the advisor and mentor, longtime advisor and mentor of EJ Obiena. And Jim is joining us live via Zoom all the way from Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. Time right now there is 4:32 p.m. Good evening from Manila, Jim. Good afternoon there. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Andre. Thanks for having me, and it's good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's a long time. I wish our conversation was in better circumstances, but congratulations again to EJ. We had him on the show after that gold medal stint at the 19th Asian Games, but here it is. I'm pretty sure you know the reason why we are having this conversation and why our team reached out to you. Anais Lavilny, the wife of 2012 Olympic gold medalist Reno Lavilny, or at least the account that has her name allegedly commented, and we saw that Facebook post, we flashed on our screens, accusing EJ Obiena of doping. I've seen articles, you have already addressed this, but here on our show, live on Sports Desk, on CNN Philippines, what do you have to say, Jim?
As I told Congress a year and a half ago during the PTAFA, that whole PTAFA experience, EJ Obiena is a great athlete, but he's an even better human being. Mm-hmm. And I know this young man inside and out. I know all about him. He is one of the finest individuals you're ever going to meet in the world today. And I think he has a huge future in this world, well beyond pole vaulting. And it breaks my heart to see someone slander his name so recklessly, so irresponsibly, without any information because of ill will going back to the 2016 Olympics and what happened in Brazil and, all kinds of things. In fact, Thiago Braz has not trained with Vitaly Petrov for over a year. Mm-hmm. So long before this positive doping test that he had in July, he had left a year before. And so EJ hasn't trained with him since mid-2022. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, making guilt by association is a very, very reckless and irresponsible thing to do. Mm-hmm. And he has never failed a test. And in fact, while he's here in Dubai, we're even doing a polygraph this week that we will then publish that is done by certified polygrapher that will show that EJ, which nobody does. Normally they say, I've never failed a drug test. He's going to do a polygraph, and we're going to release it as information just to bolster the case. That's how confident we are. Mm-hmm. I know him. We have private talks. He's never even thought about it, let alone be close to it. Mm-hmm. Our only worry on all of this is that he watches that nobody spikes any of his food or drink. And, we've had a number of discussions that you don't take anything from a person you don't know. And it's a sad state of affairs that's the way we have to be. But going into this Olympic year, you never know. And we're not going to eat or drink anything that he doesn't know where it's coming from and, making sure that it was safely opened.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you spoke to EJ and we've seen his response on Facebook. But what was EJ? How bothered was EJ? Was he even bothered by this? It's just, as you said, and when he responded, for me, it seemed it was really bothersome, but, I agree with what you said. EJ is a great athlete and even a greater human being. So what was EJ's response and how was his mood upon seeing that post?
He called me immediately and he sent it. He sent it to me by WhatsApp, and he was incredibly upset because his reputation matters, and that's a stain that doesn't come out easily. Because now, even if you look at some of the other comments and other people are saying, "Oh, I didn't know he was caught doping," and there's multiple posts around on different postings and social media that. People are now questioning him. This is not fair. This is absolutely not fair, and it's unfounded. So he was quite upset. And I said, I'll help you with it. Don't worry. That's what I'm here for. And we've been talking to the people. We have meetings with French attorneys actually coming up later today. And we will be looking at legal action as among other actions because it's a pretty clear-cut case of libel. and slander, and we have to protect him. You have to protect
course.
his reputation is worth something. So that's not it's not something we take lightly. It's unfortunate. And I think the fact that it came from a competitor in the circuit, it shocked him incredibly that it would come like that.
Do you have any knowledge if your EJ's camp or EJ personally had problems in the past with the Lavilny camp, with Reno, or with a wife, Anais, or where is this stemming from in your mind? Because where did this all come from, Jim?
There's some things I can say with more certainty than others. You have to go back to the 2016 Olympics.
Okay.
And at that time, Tiago Braz was being trained by Vitaly, as was EJ, but EJ was flying in, flying out. He was on a scholarship at that time from the World Athletics. And so he wasn't consistently training with them, but he was part of the training camp. He knew Tiago. And at that Olympics, you had Lavilny was the defending Olympic champion. It was a very intense competition. It's quite amazing to watch the two of them go up over 6 meters. And because Lavilny was being booed by the crowd, because the crowd was quite pro Braz, it was a Brazilian crowd. So you got a Brazilian athlete vaulting in front of his home country.
Yeah.
They admittedly, the fans were quite tough on Lavilny, and there's no doubt about it. And then between that event and the next day when they did the medal ceremony, Lavilny made several comments that were quite inflammatory. So when he took the stand to get his silver medal, he was booed quite heavily by the crowd. I was actually there at that time. And I think Braz was a class act. Braz tried to calm the crowd down. He brought Lavilny up onto the top podium for the gold medalist. He did everything he could to try to give Lavilny the attention and support that he needed. But it's not his fault that 100,000 people were booing him, and it was from the statements, and that never crossed well with them. And if you looked at competitions subsequent to that, Braz and Lavilny didn't really interact much. Now, when it came out in July that Braz tested positive for Ostarine, which is a performance-enhancing drug, instantly in France, there was all kinds of calls to give Lavilny the gold medal from 2016. And, this was being aggressively pursued because they now felt cheated and that he had cheated back in 2016, which, of course, there's no proof to that. A positive drug test in 2023 does not retroactively go back 8 years. So that's a little bit of a push. And so we know that he felt bad about what happened. He felt that maybe he was robbed of the Olympic gold medal. Understand that. And that this is now something in his side. Now, if you look at this season, EJ was quite dominant and one of the most consistent. He and Hondo, I think, were that consistent. He beat Lavilny in every competition they were in together. He won every competition against Renault. And how does Renault feel about that, to have, this young Filipino vaulter that he remembers, who was a young kid, coming and beating him in France and beating him across Europe? I mean, who knows? And I understand that. But I think to take that frustration, and Renault is 37 years old. I mean, this is the tail end of a career, no matter what. I mean, there's a reason physiologically why most top athletes are done in their mid-30s. I mean, things start to change. So I understand there's a frustration. I understand that there might be suspicion, but to link guilt by association and say, well, they used to train together, and now because they train together, they're obviously both doping.
Jim,
it's awful. It's so irresponsible. And on top of that, Braz has still not had the B sample analyzed. So Braz is under suspicion, but he's not fully convicted yet. And what we're doing is convicting him as well, which is not fair.
Jim, I apologize.
So
I have to.
The whole thing is wrong.
Jim, I have to cut you. We're running out of time, but I'm trying to squeeze all the questions. I still have a couple more here.
Yeah.
You did say you're taking legal action. You're talking to French attorneys, and also you're planning to sue for libel, slander. Is that the next move? Have you reached out to the camp? And then I will follow up with my last question. How do you think moving forward can this or will this affect EJ Obiena? Will this cause distraction for EJ? As we know, he is bound for the Paris Olympics. So again, what legal action will you be taking? Have you reached out to the camp? And will this affect EJ psychologically moving forward, as we know he has qualified for Paris?
Okay, here's what we know for sure. We don't know if we're taking legal action. We have meetings with attorneys today.
Okay.
The intention is, but we need to understand the legal framework. We don't know the French legal framework. He will take a polygraph test, and we're trying to get that set up before he goes. And if we can get that done, we'll publish that, and we will be very transparent. We are not reaching out to that camp. They started this whole thing. And if they know anything about EJ Obiena, this is the biggest mistake they've ever made. Look at how he performed with his own federation attacking him last year. Constantly attacking him. He focused and channeled all that anger and all that angst, and he performed and set records, and he won a medal at the World Championships with his own federation going after him. They made the biggest mistake of their life going after this guy, because EJ Obiena, greatest strength in pole vault is mental. And now he is pissed. He is pissed. We were at the gym this morning. He landed and came to my house at 1 a.m. At 7 a.m., we were already in the gym training. He is focused and angry, and this is the biggest mistake they could have ever done, because he's not distracted. He's now out to do his absolute best in the Paris Olympics.
That's good. So we shouldn't be concerned. EJ is still laser focused. I think, this will even make him more focused and, more a better athlete, especially when it comes to deliver a medal, hopefully in Paris, just to keep them quiet, shut that camp up. Jim, thank you again for your time. We'll speak to you again soon, hopefully on a longer time. But thank you again for your time. That was James Michael Lafferty, EJ Obiena's mentor and advisor.